When you think Viking ship, you're probably picturing something sleek. Dragon-headed prow, shields along the gunwales, rowing through morning mist towards some unsuspecting English monastery. That's a longship, and yes, they were magnificent instruments of terror and warfare. But here's the thing nobody tells you. The longship didn't build the Viking Age. This did. This is Saga Farmann. She's 20 metres of oak and pine, and she's fat. There's no polite way around it. She's got a bottom like a bathtub compared to her sleeker cousins. She's still absolutely gorgeous and winning every beauty pageant she enters. She's a Knarr, a Viking cargo ship. If the longship was the sword of the Viking Age, she's the backpack. She's the wallet, the larder, the moving van, the thing that actually works for a living. You see, while longships were busy being all dramatic off the coast of Lindisfarne, Knarrs were doing something far more important. They were carrying the entire Viking economy in their holds. Furs from Scandinavia, amber from the Baltic, walrus ivory from the Arctic, timber, dried fish, and slaves as well, if we're being ruthlessly honest about it. South they went, down to Constantinople, to the Mediterranean, trading for silver, wine, spices, silk, all the things that made being a Viking chieftain worth the trouble. And they also carried settlers, families, livestock, all the things you'd need in order to start a new life in Iceland or Greenland. The longships could raid, these things could actually stay. Now, Saga Farmann here isn't actually 1,000 years old, obviously. She's a replica built in Tønsberg, which is fitting, really, because Tønsberg has been building ships since before England was England. She's based on the Kloster shipet, a 10th century Knarr discovered in 1893 near Larvik in Norway. They found it in pieces, buried in clay, which preserved it beautifully. But it did rather complicate the Let's Sailor Again part of the proceedings. So the Oseberg Viking Heritage Foundation decided to build a proper working copy, launched her in 2018. Named her after King Björn Farmann, a 10th century Norwegian king who knew a thing or two about getting around. And then they decided to do something completely mad. They chose to sail her, not simply around the fjords for a few PR photos. They decided to take her on the full Viking voyage all the way around Europe. London docks, down through the Mediterranean to Greece, the Adriatic, retracing those 1,000-year-old trade routes with 6 crew members living on this thing for months at a time, testing whether medieval shipwrights actually knew what they were doing. Turns out they absolutely did. She handled North Sea storms, Mediterranean swells, everything her ancestors would have faced 1,000 years ago. A medieval design, still working exactly as intended. Which brings us to what actually makes the Knarr different and why it matters relative to the longship. She's wider, she's deeper, higher sides to handle the proper ocean swells instead of river raids. She's built to carry mass up to 24 tons of cargo, which is frankly absurd for something with no engine. A longship needs a crew of 30 to 60 men rowing, 30 to 60 men that you need to feed, to pay, to stop constantly for water and supplies. A Knarr? Well, you can sail her with 6, but probably 8 to 12 is better. Because longships were powered by human misery, rows of men pulling on oars days after day, running one gets expensive pretty quickly. Knarrs used wind, free, infinite wind. All of which meant longer voyages, fewer stops, lower costs, more profit. Because without ships like this, there is no Viking Dublin, no Viking York, no Danelaw, no permanent Scandinavian presence anywhere really. You can raid with longships, you can terrorise with longships, but you can't build a settlement with just a raiding party and a dream. You need tools, food, animals, families, building materials, all the unglamorous things that turn "we've just conquered this place" into "we actually live here now." You need cargo capacity. The Vikings didn't just raid and leave, though that's the story we tell. They stayed, they traded, they built homes and they built farms. They married locally and became part of the landscape, and every single bit of that expansion required ships like this one. For 2 centuries, ships like this have been the economic arteries of Northern Europe, carrying not just cargo, but wealth and power as well. The modern ship has a few additional add-ons for health and safety reasons. There are engines that are hidden away underneath her for precision movement. There's also a GPS system and some other accoutrements as well. So when you see the Saga Farmann sitting here, remember something. This is the ship that actually built the Viking Age. The longship was the press release, the knarr was the business plan. The knarr did all of the unglamorous stuff, transporting cargo back and forth around, which made the Viking Age work. And there's something rather beautiful about that, isn't there? That the most important ship in Viking history is the one that nobody remembers. The working class hero, the one that didn't get songs written about it. Just got the job done, year after year, century after century. The Saga Farmann, a fat-bottomed, ocean-crossing little piece of the past.